Most people treat their hobbies as ways to unwind. Neuroscience tells a different story. Runners are quietly rewiring their brain's pain center by over 4%. Gamers are sharpening decision-making 18% faster. Cooks are dropping cortisol by 22%. Every hobby you return to is secretly training a psychological superpower your mind desperately needs. And the one you chose reveals far more about you than you realize. Running looks like a test of muscle and willpower, but beneath the sweat and pounding heart, something quieter is happening. Each step through aching legs and raw air is a lesson in discomfort, one that the brain records, rewires, and remembers. Over weeks, the anterior cingulate cortex, the brain's pain and stress hub, grows denser by over 4%. This is not just endurance of the body, but inoculation against the sting of stress itself. The runner isn't chasing a finish line. They're building emotional armor, 1 kilometer at a time. Pain catastrophizing drops, not because the pain vanishes, but because the mind learns to hold it differently. The world outside the run, deadlines, conflicts, loneliness, begins to feel less threatening. The same circuits that once flinched at discomfort now recover faster, rebound stronger, and carry that resilience into every corner of daily life. Gaming seems like escape, a flickering screen and a world of fantasy, but inside the mind of the gamer, another kind of training is underway. Rapid-fire decisions, shifting rules, and constant failure-retry loops force the brain to adapt, pivot, and recover again and again. Cognitive flexibility rises, task switching improves by 18%. The gamer's prefrontal cortex lights up, running drills in adaptability and rapid emotional recovery. Each defeat is a microdose of chaos, followed by a chance to reset, recalibrate, and try again. For many, especially those wrestling with anxiety or a world that changes too fast, these digital battles become rehearsals for real-life uncertainty. The stress is fake, but the emotional skill is real. How to lose, adapt, and move forward without freezing or breaking down. Both the runner and the gamer are drawn to their chosen discomforts, not just for pleasure, but for the invisible skills they're building. Endurance and flexibility, one forged in the body, the other in the mind, are not just hidden side effects, but the secret reasons these hobbies call to us. They are emotional training grounds, quietly shaping how we handle the unpredictable, the overwhelming, and the painful. In a world that rarely lets us choose our battles, hobbies give us a private arena to rehearse, recover, and grow stronger for whatever comes next. Cooking isn't really about food. For the home chef, the kitchen becomes a quiet arena where stress and restlessness are melted down, one measured step at a time. The sizzle of onions, the slow rise of dough, the careful wait for water to boil, these are acts of patience dressed up as daily chores. Each recipe is a small contract with the future. Wait, taste, adjust, resist the urge to rush. In the background, the body responds. Studies show that after 6 weeks of regular home cooking, cortisol, the body's main stress hormone, drops by 22%. The act of preparing a meal, with its built-in pauses and mindful attention, becomes a kind of moving meditation. The mind learns to sit with uncertainty, to accept that not every sauce will thicken, and not every loaf will rise in time. Over repeated sessions, patience grows by more than half a standard deviation in some studies, without anyone ever naming it aloud. The home chef may think they're just making dinner, but what they're really practicing is waiting well, accepting imperfection, and anchoring themselves in the present. In the next room, a sketch artist opens a blank notebook. Drawing looks like a simple act of creation, but beneath each line and shadow, something deeper is at work. The slow, deliberate movement of pencil on paper draws the mind into a state of flow, a neurological sweet spot where self-consciousness fades and attention sharpens. Neuroimaging reveals that during these moments, the medial prefrontal cortex, the brain's hub for self-reflection and emotional nuance, lights up by 23%. The outside world blurs. Observation becomes more than seeing. It becomes noticing the subtle curve of a wrist, the way light falls across a cheek, the emotion hiding in a glance. Artists, even amateurs, show measurable gains in emotional granularity. the ability to sense and label subtle feelings, both in themselves and others. Over time, the sketchbook becomes a training ground for nuanced perception, a place where the mind learns to slow down and see what's actually there, not just what it expects. Both the home chef and the sketch artist are drawn to these rituals for reasons that often go unspoken. Cooking and drawing are not escapes from stress, but invitations to meet it differently. They teach the slow skills, patience, close observation, mindful presence, that modern life rarely rewards but always requires. In a world of instant everything, these hobbies offer a rare kind of training. How to wait, how to notice, how to stay present when the urge to rush or retreat is strongest. The kitchen and the sketchbook become quiet laboratories for emotional growth, building a resilience that doesn't always look like strength, but feels like steadiness. Inside the dojo, the martial artist faces not just an opponent, but the mind's own surges of adrenaline and doubt. Every kata starts and ends with a breath, each movement a lesson in restraint. Over time, heart rate variability rises by 9%, a sign that the body's stress response is no longer in charge. Instead of reacting on impulse, the martial artist learns to pause, to channel tension into focus, and to meet frustration with steady exhalation. This discipline becomes a quiet form of emotional control, practiced until it feels like instinct. In the garden, patience takes on a different shape. The gardener's hands work soil that refuses to hurry. Seeds disappear, sprouts emerge or wither, and nature's timeline allows no shortcuts. Over a season, serotonin increases by 12%, and heart rhythms grow steadier. The gardener learns to accept what unfolds, to surrender control, and find meaning in tending rather than forcing. Acceptance here is not giving up, but understanding what can and cannot be shaped. Both the martial artist and gardener move through ritual, one through structured breath, the other through surrender to growth, each finding balance between holding on and letting go. Chess looks like a contest of pieces and rules, but for the player hunched over the board, it's an exercise in living with the future. Every move is a wager, a ripple that will echo 10 turns ahead. The mind holds branching possibilities, weighs risk against reward, and learns to sit with uncertainty. Over weeks of regular play, working memory expands by 13% in controlled studies, quietly strengthening the brain's ability to juggle plans and consequences. The chess player is not just memorizing patterns, they're rehearsing foresight, growing comfortable with what cannot be known, and learning to pause before acting. This habit of thinking ahead, of holding multiple outcomes in mind, becomes a kind of mental armor for life's unpredictability. Music, on the other hand, looks like pure expression. But in the hands of the musician, especially inside a group, it becomes something more, a shared language for emotion. When people play together, their heartbeats sync, their breathing aligns, and the walls between them thin. Research finds that group music making can raise oxytocin, the body's social bonding hormone, by as much as 20%. These sessions offer more than harmony. They unlock a space where feeling is allowed to move freely, where joy, grief, and hope can be voiced without words. For the musician, this is emotional training, the courage to express, to listen, and to belong. In a world that often rewards silence or self-containment, music gives permission to feel out loud, together. Chess and music, one training the mind for long horizons, the other opening the heart to shared experience, add foresight and expression to the quiet toolkit hobbies build, often without us noticing. Patterns begin to surface when the lens zooms out. What looks like a jumble of pastimes, running, gaming, cooking, art, martial arts, gardening, chess, music, falls into a kind of order when mapped against the emotional needs each one quietly addresses. The data, though imperfect, suggest a striking alignment. In a recent survey, 62% of people reported choosing their main hobby because it offered the exact quality they felt was missing from daily life. The runner seeks resilience. The gamer chases adaptability. The chef finds patience. The artist sharpens observation. Across studies, the effect is not just anecdotal. A meta-analysis of hobby-based interventions reports an average effect size of D equals 0.6 8 for emotional regulation, a moderate to large impact that rivals many formal therapies. For resilience alone, the gain averages plus 0.45 standard deviations, enough to tip the balance for someone teetering on the edge of burnout or overwhelm. Flow theory offers one explanation. When challenge meets skill, the mind enters a state of deep absorption, and emotional learning accelerates. Self-determination theory adds another layer, mapping hobby choice to unmet needs for autonomy, competence, and connection. Most people are not consciously seeking a cure. Instead, they are drawn, almost magnetically, to the activity that trains the skill they lack. The pattern is so consistent that it begins to look less like coincidence and more like a quiet survival strategy. Hobbies become emotional feedback loops, each repetition tightening the link between effort and adaptation. What seems like leisure is in fact a rehearsal for life's hardest moments. The skills built in these private arenas, resilience, patience, adaptability, observation, discipline, acceptance, foresight, expression, are not side effects. They are the hidden superpowers that hobbies were always meant to forge. Gardening looks slow, but it trains patience. Gaming seems trivial, yet it sharpens resilience. The ordinary hobbies we choose are emotional lifelines, unconscious answers to the chaos of daily life. In a world that rarely makes space for healing, your favorite pastime might be the most honest form of survival.